starving.
I still can't hear Granddad.
So, what is your state of mind right now? We're almost we're halfway through the season almost. What is do you feel like the end is coming, or is it going to hit you once we get to the final week?
It's strange, right? Because we've had many phases of ending this show. You know what I was saying before? By the way, I was saying this to all the people that work on this show that kind of were behind the scenes during all the drama of season 3 when we thought the thing was going to end, all the drama of coming back for season 4, but most of the cast wasn't there. You know that trope in like a fantasy movie where they got like a big giant storming the gates of the castle and all the archers are, they're plucking it full of arrows and the guy looks like he's full of toothpicks. And, he's going, "Rah, rah," and then eventually one just shoots it right in the eye, and then it falls over. That's basically Superman and Lois. We just said it was a behemoth of a show, right? A real behemoth of a show on a behemoth of a franchise that just died this death of 1,000 cuts. All the while, I think that the people behind the scenes made sure that the quality stayed the same, which is just insane because if you were on the set between season 1 and season 4, it was very noticeable. You could not notice a budget cut that drastic, a cast cut that drastic. The crew changes, but everyone did unbelievable quantities of work to make sure the quality stayed up all 4 seasons. That being said, we've had many endings of the show. So I thought the show was over season 3. I said goodbye to everyone. It really looked like we weren't coming back, which is crazy because, even as soon as midway through season 3, we thought this thing was going 9 seasons. I can't speak about it too much yet, but maybe after the show's over. We even had a plan for what those seasons were going to look like. So by the end of season 3, I said goodbye to everyone. I thought that this show was this crazy whirlwind of a blessing that came into my life for 3 years. I couldn't exactly be angry because I was grateful that it happened. And then we got picked up for season 4. And I was like, that's also really crazy. You kind of said goodbye to a big portion of people that you kind of saw reoccurring. And then you say goodbye again. But because I said goodbye so completely season 3, it didn't feel as bad. But yesterday I had a bit of a realization because the episode aired, episode 4. And I realized how much I missed Jordan. All things being said, I didn't watch the episode. I still get weird feelings by watching myself. But I didn't want to talk about what was on the episode, so I reread the script, and I was doing my thing of just kind of going through these scripts and seeing when my character is and what my character does in the script. And I realized how much I missed Jordan. I kind of grew attached to this kid that I got to play for so long. He really he has a beautiful soul, even if no one else sees it. So that all being said, I think I'm still going to say goodbye for a long time to come. Not just to the people, but to the character too.
Yeah, and one of the things that because again, I as someone who's been watching since season 1, Jordan was always someone that resonated most with me because there's times where like he reminds me a lot about myself when I was his age. And one of the things I always loved about Jordan is that you're one of the few actors on the show that gets to play someone that we don't know from the comics. We don't have this mythology. We don't have this like kind of like comic Bible. So was that something that was always very relieving for you? Of like, well, people can't really put expectations on me, on my character, because we're this is our thing. This isn't like Jonathan Kent, who is already in the comics. That people already have like a perception of him, but you guys could go very, very different directions with him.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the intrigue, right? The show as a whole, really, and you'll see that in what we do in the finale, because it's crazy.
Oh, I have theories. I think after last time, I think I know where they're going. But yeah, go on.
Come on, what are the theories? You got to give me some of these theories.
I think that Clark is going to be retiring, and that you two will be the Superman of the world. I think I'm feeling you guys will be flying together, saving the world. He's going to be training you guys, and he gets to live like a normal life just with Lois, because that heart of Grandpa Lane, it helps, but it has restrictions.
Like Cincinnatus going back to his field in Italy. The great emperor. He wasn't an emperor. He was a dictator. Whatever. Either way, that's my poker face. See my poker face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's can't say it. Can't say it.
Yeah.
That's an interesting theory. I'm not gonna lie. I also like hearing the alternate theories because I'm pretty sure all theories of how this ended went through the writers' room. So I'm wondering, like by hearing what the fans are thinking, it's probably also a window into what some of the writers were thinking as well, because the writers are also just fans. That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, but the question was how because you get to play an original character, how liberating was that for you? As again, you don't have to feel the pressure of kind of like the comics expectations.
The writers got to use the comics as a bit of a sandbox to build whatever little castle they wanted, and I think that's for the best, because when you have 85 now years of canon behind you, it's the oldest superhero really. At least when we think of superhero, it's the first one we think of. And it can trap you up, I think, when you're trying to write to that. I can't speak to it personally, but you would have so many things that it's impossible not to retcon, and it's hard to make a new story. So they kind of took inspiration from the comics and created the show that you see. Part of that is my character. And my character at the time, I didn't know what they were doing with him. I didn't know that he was even going to start saving people or get a suit at all, even the suit that you guys have seen. So I think that's part of the intrigue of the show. I'm very happy to be playing an original character because it sets you free as an actor. You're not beholden to what people have done before you, or you at least don't think you are. I know that Tyler and Bitsy also made sure that they weren't beholden to what other people have done by not watching it at times. I had nothing to watch, so it's pretty good.
But yeah, again, something we get to see, see last night was you and Sarah, you and Indy finally get to work together again. It felt again because of the wait between season 3's finale and the premiere. I felt like it's been like almost 2 years since we saw you guys together. How was it finally, getting to revisit that? And should Sarah and Jordan shippers, is there still hope?
But what's the ship name, by the way? Now is it Jara?
I think it's Jara. I think I saw it somewhere on TikTok.
Is it Jara? Neither option was very good, if I remember correctly. It was Sworden. Sworden was the other one. Sworden or Jara. Both, by the way, sound like they should be in Star Wars.
They do sound very alien-like.
Pew, 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 pew. I haven't seen Star Wars too, but yes. Look. Indy and I, our off-screen relationship has changed and fluctuated over the years so much. Nowadays, I'd consider her one of my closest friends. I was just living at her house in Los Angeles for like 6 days a week ago. And, I think you also see elements of that off-screen relationship in how Sarah and Jordan are portrayed. Given Sarah is I think close to who Indy was when she was a little younger, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe she can speak on that. I know that Jordan is quite far from who I am. But channeling the off-screen relationship into one that you see has been interesting. And seeing them together for the first time again, it was a little bizarre. It's one of those moments that you start to connect to your younger self because, we also had a year off of shooting between that. And then most of that time in season 4 in the beginning, didn't get to see her. So it felt like you were kind of calling back something that you haven't visited in a while. And I think you feel that with the characters as well, as they're trying to move on in their own lives and figure out the place for each other in each other's lives.
Would you say that, because I'm really curious, like, can we expect a happy ending? Because I know Volley, he said it to us recently that everyone is back for the finale, which I'm so happy about. Everyone is back for the finale.
Yes.
What are the chances that we see happily ever after for the two of them? Again, we got to remember this is the girl that he said years ago, like, Dad, I'm gonna marry her. I'm gonna marry this girl. I want her to know everything about me. So what can you tease?
I think they find their own version of a happily ever after. I think it's a very Jordan and Sarah ending that I hope the fans will find satisfying. I also think it's going to be like a little cobblestone in the whole finale, where the finale is just this massive, massive episode. So Greg Smith directed it. We had a lot less time to shoot it than obviously most shows would, given our budget. But it kicks ass. Like, the team came together in epic superhero fashion to make that finale what it was. Like, by the page how the page goes, pretty much, I believe it's bigger than the pilot. That's how big the finale is. It's a huge, huge undertaking of an episode, and it came out brilliantly. So Sarah and Jara Sworden makes their appearance as well, but there's gonna be a lot going on. I think it's gonna be fantastic.
Speaking of a lot going on, because Jordan has had, this has been one of his darkest seasons that we've seen, and one of the things that really stood out to me was, of course, seeing Jordan and his dynamic with Lex. You and Michael Cudlitz absolutely crushed it. That's poor words, because I just realized where this question was going. But again, with the whole thing with the heart and everything, like when you read just to read, that's that initial script for, what was going to go down in episode 2 and whatnot. Like, were you shocked at like how dark the show was going to put Jordan through, with Superman stuff, and how it was going to affect him specifically?
Yes, in short, yes. And I think we could speak about this probably more after the finale airs.
Okay.
But this goes along with they had a completely different plan. A completely different plan for the show, because they thought it was going quite some time. And that season 3 was supposed to kind of like dove into season 4, and it was relating to season 5 even. So the writers, when we got the news that there would be less cast, less budget, and only 10 episodes, I think they pulled out all the stops that they knew they couldn't really write their way out of, and that's why the season's so phenomenal in 10 episodes. These writers figured out how to condense everything they wanted to do in these 10 episodes. Part of that is that they had to really change the plan for Jordan. And he was going to fall into this darker place. I think the one thing that we constantly see Jordan trying to do is he tries to be a good person, and he just doesn't know how. He thinks that he knows better at times when he doesn't, but he also thought he was the only one to save his father, and that other people were stopping him from that goal because they were worried for him. It was this act of almost this it was self-sabotage or self-sacrifice, but he thought he was getting to that heart, and he fell right into Luthor's trap. And I think how we play that, at least how in my mind, is that experience was extremely traumatizing for him. So he was completely powerless again, like he was before he had the powers. And now, if you've caught up, that Jonathan has powers as well, which, by the way, is the biggest spoiler of all time. And even just saying that in an interview, a chill went down my spine. I'm like, okay, that came out, right?
Yeah. Okay. It came out. You're good. You're good.
I've been keeping that a secret for a minute.
Yeah.
Now that Jonathan has powers as well, Jonathan can just do all the things that Jordan wanted to do. It's the story of Jordan's life besides these last 2 years, and canonically, I believe it's only 2 years. When Jonathan wants to save someone, he doesn't screw it up. He does, everyone trusts him immediately. They didn't trust Jordan for 2 years. People love him. It's all new, and I don't think Jordan feels snarky about that. At least in my mind, I think Jordan's genuinely happy this weight's off his shoulders, because he couldn't take it anymore. I don't think he could do it. I don't know if he was in the position of growth to really take that mantle, and he knows that now. And I don't know. It's tough for him, because I think sometimes you go through the most growth when you go through it alone. And Lois is dealing with a lot, and Jonathan's dealing with the world, and Sarah is dealing with her own life. So there's Jordan. He's going to have to grow.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you about it because I rewatched the episode last night and like I was again sobbing like crazy. Even though he says I have some things to figure out, but when he hands off the suit, I'm still feeling like, oh my god, this is gut wrenching in a lot of ways. So what are some things he needs to figure out that you could perhaps not giving too much away, but what is it? What is his soul journey that he's going to go on?
I think that's what this character's been going through this whole time, is growth. Also, I think people have this strange expectation when it comes to character development that it goes against the way that people normally develop. Like, people think it's this linear progression. Oh, he learned from this mistake, so he'll go to this one. I think it's a little more like stock market that just kind of finds its way. Exactly. If we're lucky, the stock market eventually will keep going up. But there are a lot of crashes along the way, and I think we can legitimately see some growth from Jordan as this season concludes. And I think, how can I tease this? I think we'll see the whole family take up new phases of their life. That's a tease. Okay.
That's a very good tease.
You feel teased. Okay. I just want to make sure everyone felt teased here.
Yeah. No, but like, does that include, because also when I thought about him, like giving the suit to John, I'm thinking like, is it also because he's maybe going for a new look? I mean, because you guys have been filming inside a lot this season. We haven't seen you guys like on location that much. So I was kind of like, what are they hiding? What could they be hiding? Like, am I on anywhere remotely close on the right
we're hiding? We're hiding our budget.
No, but the show looks good. I mean, like when I watched the first three,
it comes down to the writing and the directing and all the producing. It comes down to all the producing because, like, you don't notice that it's you don't notice that we were pretty poor the last season, but I don't know if okay, I don't think I'll get in trouble for this because it's not a spoiler. All right. Well, now of course you're very like, okay, yeah. No, you won't get in trouble. Come on, tell me.
If there's anything you wanted to take out, we can absolutely do that. We will.
Okay, sure. I don't think this is anything bad, but thank you for the offer as well. We didn't have the barn the fourth season. All those outside shots of the Kent family?
Yeah.
Those don't exist. We didn't have the house. The house was demolished in season 3 because we didn't think we were coming back. And
it's coming back to me because I recall there was something about like that some sets were being taken down.
Yeah, so that
I didn't think the farm was going down.
The farmhouse. It was an empty house in a field. We had the inside sets in another location altogether. That outside set was extremely hard to shoot at, but also the people that own the land didn't. I don't know if they really wanted us there anymore. I don't know what the drama was. There was some drama, which didn't exist. All those scenes of outside are in a studio. And that's why we're always at night on the porch. Because it's easier, to be in like a black void. There was a genius shot in this last episode that Greg Smith did where he put the camera through Kyle, because all the sets are next to each other in the studio. He demolished the wall of Kyle's apartment to get a farther away view of the Kent porch that we built on the inside, and it looks like it's outside. You don't even understand the amount of like ingenuity that went into making sure just these small things were noticed. Like, we didn't have the place where the main characters lived. Like, it just didn't exist. It's an empty field now.
Damn.
In episode 4, and that was the one I shadowed as well. I shadowed Greg Smith, the producing director. Brilliant dude, lovely guy, great friend of mine now. We have that scene where Clark and Lois are running to embrace each other. That house. Anytime you see the house in the background of that, it's CG'd in.
That did not look like CGI. Wow, that's real.
Isn't that insane?
No, wow. I need to I cannot wait now to do a whole re-binge of the whole scene and kind of be like, oh, that's what he was talking about. That was he talking about. Because again, I really felt like, okay, like the reason we were able to again, talking about the budget, that reason we were able to get some of these, key things back was because, okay, they're prioritizing for, the Ken Farm, the Ken Halbach. I forgot that they had taken it down. So yeah, this is, a major shout out to the whole production team of Superman Lois that they, juggling all of this.
They're not only brilliant, they're also really nice people, which is not the usual on shows like this. So I've heard, this is my first big project. They're really incredible human beings behind this project, from the top to the bottom. Todd Helping and Brent Fletcher are just brilliant and so unbelievably kind, great leaders for this whole thing. All the way down to every single PA that had to put in extra hours to make this work. This was a labor of love in a way that I don't think many shows are. But yeah, that's why you won't see us outside.
I thought you really were keeping a lot of sports outside, because I'm like, we haven't seen Tyler a lot on set. Like, we saw there was until we got the episode, I think 9 or 10. That's when the first set photo came out. I'm like, oh, that's the only photo we have of him this season.
We do go outside a little bit.
Yeah.
But notice if we are outside, it's usually in I think I can tease this without, that's no spoiler. We have a scene coming up in episode 5 that is in a French cafe. Not a big one, if you can only imagine. It's like a little scene in a French cafe. We have a shot of a French cafe. And that shot is obviously, it's an outdoors. But notice, we're in the middle of, a field. We actually went out to the middle of nowhere and just dressed this old building as a French cafe. All these outdoor shots you'll notice are in, probably cheaper locations and shutting down a whole street somewhere. It's pretty crazy. And, Smallville backlot, that is, that's all ours. That belonged to Warner Brothers. So we can get exteriors there.
Out of the remaining episodes, outside of the finale, do you have a personal favorite that you're excited for fans to see, in particular for Jordan's development that we kind of been touching upon?
Yeah, I'm trying to rack my brain. Well, episode 5, Elizabeth Henstridge directed. Episode 6, someone else directed. There was an episode that Michael Cudlitz directed.
Yeah, I think it's 7. I think it's 7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm just a big fan of Michael Cudlitz. So
yeah,
I just really like the guy. I think he's a brilliant actor and also a brilliant director. Also, you hear that New York City noises outside. Yeah,
okay.
This is actually my childhood home. So I grew up to. I don't even hear sirens at all. They just don't.
I didn't even think about it either until you pointed out. I'm like, oh yeah, there is something going on.
And okay, I'd also have to say episode 9 and the finale are 2 huge episodes. Everyone develops in a lot of interesting ways. Again, I really think the fans will be happy. Watch the fans hate it, but no. I really think the fans will.
No, I think this fandom is going to be very passionate about what's coming.
I think so. I really do. And, it's a shame that this show couldn't have continued on. As a young actor myself, it's not particularly a terrible thing for my career as it stands to come off a show while it's still good and successful. It doesn't suffer from the decline in quality a lot of shows do, and the back 9. As an actor, just creatively, I really liked the show. It was a great group of people. They were pretty great characters. You got to do family drama stuff and also action hero stuff, which is just a rare combination. And also, what a great way to just build a portfolio as well. Not to put it like that, but it was just a pretty phenomenal experience all around. So, yeah, man. I hope the fans see it the same. You kind of got a bit of everything going on.
Yeah, no, but I think that's why Superman Lois has stood out so much because we've had a lot of Superman and Lois Lane depictions over the last 3-4 decades. But again, the idea of them settled down as a family, but also juggling being reporters, being teenagers, and being superheroes. That's definitely not something we see every day, especially especially in this genre that's gone through so many changes in just so little time.
Right. It's crazy. It's really an awesome show. It really is. I think we cooked on this one.
I want to touch upon it because you were talking about a little bit about the, how Jordan has been feeling about Jonathan now that he has powers and so on. Is how did with him as he's kind of like going through this phase right now of I guess being like the second Superboy in a lot of ways, like is that something that Jordan comes to acceptance with at some point, or like kind of like again, because this is the thing, they're both flawed teenagers, so again that's why I feel like a lot of these reactions are very natural. I feel like it was if they had been adults, and I would be like, okay guys, let's just calm down a little bit. It's gonna be fine. So what can you speak on that?
Well, okay, I think when it comes to Jordan, the one thing that really comes to mind is that this kid's traumatized. That the last time he tried to do something like this, there wasn't too much of a gap between, like in terms of the timing of in the show, between the scenes in the crate and Jonathan getting powers. I believe they happened like 1 or 2 days apart. The last time Jordan ever tried to do something super was when this horrifying thing happened to him. So I think Jordan is terrified of it. I think he's traumatized from it. I think there's a lot of PTSD. I don't think he's too eager to get back into the game. And I think when he sees Jonathan is more capable than he was, he's relieved. And he's concerned about his brother too. He loves his brother. He wants to make sure that he can impart. I think, you'll start to see that, you want to see that he can impart some wisdom on Jonathan as well. And, does he stay there forever? I'll leave that for the show to parse out over time. But that's what we can expect from him, given his current state, as you guys know it.
Do you again, because I know you talked about that you're very happy with where the finale goes, and again that the show was you guys thought were told or kind of expected the show to go on a little bit longer, but do you are there other phases of Jordan's life that you wish you could have explored while the show was still on, if the show had gone on for a little bit longer?
Yeah, there's a lot, honestly, and I think again it just kind of comes down to the show is called Superman and Lois, ultimately that's who the show is going to be about. And I think as Michael and obviously Jordan Elsass and I were leads of this show. The two real name stars of the show are of course going to take that precedent when it comes to story. I do know that there are actors out there that kind of shake their fists and go, I wish they gave me more here. And I completely get that, but I think ultimately it's a team sport. So, I'm very grateful for everything I've gotten to play. Given a perfect world, given there was some sort of spinoff or whatever, I really would have liked to explore Jordan and Jonathan's social life a little more. Those scenes, episode 302, Elizabeth Hemstridge directed it. So much fun. It's the one where Jonathan, Jordan, let's call her Taylor, Natalie, and Sarah all go to that party. The cup gets thrown and they're kids. And those are the best scenes to shoot in terms of having fun on set, because we were friends with all the people that played every one of those little characters, and those are the people I grew up with in a lot of ways. It was just fun. You see them having fun. You see the development. You understand that they're kids. I think because of how the show's time limitations, we only really get to see them in these very adult contexts.
Yeah.
And it's easy to forget how young they are. I love those school scenes. Oh my God, I love doing the football stuff so much. So much. Those days were miserable but amazing, and team building in such an incredible way. Every single time a new actor came on my show, by the way, with the exception of Yvonne Chapman, who's phenomenal.
Yes, love her.
She's so good, and I never got to do this with her because I got too busy in season 4. But every time a supporting character would come onto the show, probably one of the smaller characters that was whatever. I would always take them out for dinner as like a welcome to the show. And sometimes other cast members would join me, like especially in the beginning. Eventually, it just kind of became my little quest. I just always wanted to make sure that everyone on the show felt really welcome. Anytime a writer came up from LA, and these are people that they've written for, but they don't really know yet. And I would always I would always go for Ethiopian food, believe it or not.
Okay.
Which, by the way, it's great because you're literally breaking bread. Like, you eat it with your hands. Have you ever had Ethiopian food?
I have not, but I'm also one who like craves food that you just eat with your hands. Like who the frack wants a fork and a knife anyway these days?
That's what I mean. We got to return to our roots. So either that or like we'd get like dosas, which you also eat with your hands. Like, I don't know why. It was always like eating with your hands food. I think it was just because you were quite literally breaking bread. Like, you have the injera. And like you get this, this subconscious trust. So those days were really fun because, those are the days where it all paid off, where you feel like these people were friends off camera. Therefore, even though we only get a couple little spurts, it feels like they have chemistry. And that's something that I really prided myself on. I really took pride in trying to make happen with the show. And I know everyone had their part in that as well.
Something that I've loved seeing since season 4, and again, I know, it can be subtle when it's happening. But when Michael Bishop came in, as the new Jonathan Kent, like you guys, again, I keep thinking that you guys are twins because you guys like so identical. Like there was like you guys were I think you guys were at a Warner Bros event that a week, and I was like, I couldn't tell you two apart. I'm like,
that's crazy.
Yeah. Like, how is it? What can you tease about like some scenes you have more with him this season? Because again, I love the brotherly dynamic and kind of just again how again. They're both very, very different, but again, they're still teenagers. They're still flawed, and despite the great things Jonathan can do, I'm still sure he has a lot of things to learn. So what can you tease about their more brotherly scenes coming up?
Well, I think you get a lot of them. Considering there's only 4 of us, 5 of us, of course, if you include Michael Cudlitz, who plays Lex Luthor, who you would not expect in the family dynamic. That duo is always present in the show. So you'll get plenty more of Jordan and Jonathan to come. Michael Bishop does a phenomenal job. It was really great. It was really great to work with him. That scene in episode 3 where he gets powers, he killed it. I took a lot of spit to the face in that scene. I don't know if you could tell.
I saw something in the light.
I'm sorry?
I saw a little bit in the light when you guys were in there.
It's great. Again, like as an actor, you want your scene partner to be into it. You'd be an asshole. I'll just say it if you for some reason take into account the person kind of spitting on you when they're speaking. Were we doing a play and that was every night? Then you kind of get into some other territory, but. For what we had to do that like 7 or 8 times. That's not a crazy amount. And if it means I get to watch a castmate kill it, it means I get to watch my castmate kill it. That's a small price to pay. And I think it was a moment that the fans were really anticipating as well.
Speaking of moments that like expectations, because something I keep wondering if it's gonna happen is, we've seen a lot of Superman with Doomsday, and we know Doomsday's still out there, but. Did you get to do something? Because I just want to see kids, punching that freak out.
By the way, I always mention this to Todd Helbing, the showrunner and head writer, that Doomsday, really had a rough go about it. If we think about the character arc, started out as a Superman of another Earth. The only difference is that he was a little more insecure. That's the only difference between the two.
A little insecure.
Okay, he was pretty insecure. He was insecure. You know what? Sounds like Jordan. So insecure, and the sun was red for some reason, right? A giant cult, so he goes into this fame life. His wife is a bit more meh. Also a little fame obsessed. Everyone's fame obsessed. but nothing unheard of. You know, it doesn't really make him a bad guy until all of a sudden starts to make him a bad guy. He starts to become an evil guy. But then this cult takes over the world, you know, and he really tries to stop it, but it doesn't work. So then he finds out about this other world and selflessly sacrifices himself to save a world he doesn't even belong to. You know, and by the way, we've established that there are a lot of parallel universes. So why does he care so much about this one? Well, he just has a big heart in the end of the day. You know, he's a drug addict. Through it all, he powered through. Okay, that's all to say that he gets killed and then brought back to life painfully, then he killed again, brought back to life painfully, over and over again until he becomes an unrecognizable, you know, human, you know, not human, alien monolith, you know, a meat obelisk, if you will, of his former self that just is spurred with anger and doesn't even know where he is, ends up, you know, now what? Now he's destroying the world he sacrificed himself to save, and he's basically like a lapdog for an evil dude. Like, Bizarro is the real victim of the events of Superman and Lois.
Yes.
If we're being real. That's all to say. Yeah, well, I cannot spoil if Jordan ever fights Doomsday. And that's above my pay grade.
Is there when you guys, but like when he's actually there, like, is there an actor that is just doing motion capture? Like what? Like, are you guys looking at someone? Okay, who is?
It's still Tyler in there.
It's still Tyler. Okay, so he's the one doing all the
facial expressions, and it's Paul. It's other guy, Paul, former wrestler, super talented guy, who did a lot of on the day stuff. And I'm not sure if Paul also did a lot of the mocap towards the end as well, but I do know Tyler did a huge amount of the face stuff.
Oh, so that when we saw them fight in space, and like we see that close up on his face, you know, like with the eyes, the teeth. That's oh wow.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Bizarro's still in there.
You know what? Yeah, you know, it's a good point. Nah, he's still in there.
Like it's bizarre what's been going on here. This is quite the this is quite the go about it for poor Bizarro. He didn't even get a cool name. You know, Bizarro, you know, he's not even Superman. Superman's awesome. You know, Superman's, you know, he smiles at the ladies. He's not really this version, but you know what I mean. Bizarro. You got cheaped out on the name, you know?
Yeah, a little bit, you know, but
it's a cool name.
Yeah.
But you know, is it like you know, Superman, Bizarro, you know? And then, you know, now he's getting tortured. It's a whole thing.
As we again, you know, as we look towards the end, you know, I'm hoping that this is not the last time we see you in, you know, because I want to see you, all of you guys, still in this comic book genre in a lot of ways. Is, you know, would you want to keep, you know, if you got the chance, you know, let's say if it's James Gunn who gives you a call about, you know, coming, you know, again, you know, they're doing new interpretation of these DC heroes or, you know, or villains. You know, is either of those two territories something you would be down for? And so, do you have any wishes on your wish list?
Look, I don't know. If I got that call, it'd be a different conversation, obviously, in reality versus in theory. The characters I really want to play is probably something a little closer to self now, though. You know, I got to play this very subdued. He was very complex, which is beautiful, and I'm so grateful I got to play it. But, you know, I would love to do someone that's a little more extroverted, like myself, and try to show off a bit of range here. I can't speak about it, but I got really, really close to a project just like that. You know, it didn't work out, but it's how it is. So that's kind of what I'm going for now. Is probably something more along the lines of actually something that James Gunn would write. You know, I know he's a little bit more into making a comic book look like a comic book. He did that so brilliantly in his Suicide Squad, which is a rare time I've seen a comic book movie. I know he did that with Guardians of the Galaxy. It just has this fun to it. So if I got a call to try to do something similar and things were a little more James Gunn-y, I wouldn't be opposed. But then again, a lot of actors out there, and I think I would love to give someone else an opportunity as well. I'm not trying to.
There's a lot of characters in that universe. I think there's room for a lot of people.
Who knows? If it were to happen, it would definitely be an interesting conversation. I'll leave it at that.
If you don't mind me asking you, looking at the outside, but like looking on the outside of this, how are you feeling about the new direction for Superman? With David Cornsweet, from what we've seen and heard so far, as someone who's been part of this franchise now for all these years.
Look, my personal belief is that the two were different enough; they could have coexisted.
I agree.
Like this guy, it looks very different. I think. And I think that's why James Gunn is so good at what he does. Is that he makes it look. It's not campy per se. It's more like it just has this veneer of like you're watching something that is a little bit elevated from reality, which is very different from that like Christopher Nolan school of, like, when we saw the Dark Knight movies, they were so incredible because they're like, whoa, this looks like real life, and these characters are so interesting and dark. And I think Superman Lois falls a little bit more in that Nolan-esque school of like grounding these characters in something. Whereas from other work I've seen of James Gunn, he goes the other direction, which I think is brilliant in itself. I don't know what his plan is with the Superman movie. I haven't spoken to him. I've actually never met the guy. We've talked on Instagram briefly. So we'll see what happens.
I just hope that for a record now, like when people see and read it, they're gonna ask now, like, what did you and James talk about? So have fun with because I'm not gonna poke and pry, but just so you know that people will want to know, because anytime like anyone like from the Arrowverse specifically has had any conversation with James, people go like, could this mean something? What could this mean? And I don't know.
Hey! A lot of people talk to a lot of people, all right? Can't speak on too specifics.
Yeah, no, but I know he was a supporter of the show. Again, I agree with you that I feel like these two things could have coexisted. Again, I've always thought that these days always like we love the multiverse, but only when like it fits them. It
looks like they're trying a new strategy. I don't really know. I also know there are a lot of bigger mechanisms at work here, right? Like Warner Brothers also went through a transition. There's a lot. Right, the entire state of the entertainment industry is in a state of transition that I don't know if we're going to get out of anytime soon. I definitely think it hit its bottom with the strike, but we'll never see it like it was. It was almost like it was a bit of a bubble in a way, that they thought there was demand for all these very niche shows, and they kept making more and more and more content, and eventually, there wasn't enough screen time because our eyes were being drifted away now to TikTok and Instagram. And I think that's something that the head of Netflix said at one point. I think Brad Schwartz is his name. He said, our competition isn't HBO, our competition is TikTok. And it's an interesting way of putting it, just how much entertainment has changed in general. So whether or not James Gunn, taking it back to Superman Lois, just wants to captain this ship in a way that he knows will work, given that everything's in flux, who knows? It's a business decision in the end of the day.
Now, as you're also promoting Superman Lois, what else are you working on right now that we can look forward to? Anything that you can talk about that won't get you in trouble. What are you working on? What are you cooking over there?
What am I cooking over here? I can't talk about the acting stuff. That is all top secret stuff. But I'm still doing some stuff over at the UN, actually, believe it or not. I'm gonna try to get together a big conference of influencers and people of note to talk about the importance of fact-checking anything they repost, to try to nip misinformation in the bud a little bit. And I'm also starting this video series that I can't announce yet, that is self-produced along those same humanitarian lines. So I'm working hard on that. I have another meeting for that tonight and then all day tomorrow that I'm interspersing with every time I have to go away to Los Angeles or something to act. So yeah, craziness, and my life is very busy right now.
We love when people say business, so that's it's always good. But yeah, no, Alex, you've answered all of my questions. So I'm excited for people. I'm myself, of course, excited to see how this ends. Again, it's crazy. It's only what, like 5 weeks away now, and but thank you for your time. Thank you for everything you have done with this character and this following the franchise, and hopefully whether it is another DC role or it's outside of that, hopefully we will see you back on our screen sooner rather than later. So thank you,
man. Is there a comment section under the article, or is this an article? I guess it's gonna be a video as well.
This will be video. This will be articles. So yeah, there will be lots of comments
in the comment section if you like the new hair or should grow it back out. I'm getting everyone's opinions on this. It's very new. It's very new.
It's very new. It's very new.
It's straight now. They put chemicals in my hair. It was a bizarre twist. The joke I made for everyone, I said, actually, I was curling it the whole time. Believe it or not, the last 4 years. No, but it's straight now. It's short. My head looks a little more long. I like the longer head, I guess. It makes me smarter, It's dimension. Put down in the comments if we like the hair. What you think will happen in the end of Superman Lois, because you guys can be very creative, and I always like reading it.
Luther doesn't think I'll do whatever it takes to get it back. But he's wrong.